Hi, my name is Challa Prabhu. I'm an ex-Microsoft MVP. Today I'm going to take a session on OxygenXML and how to use a data map within OxygenXML. So this particular presentation is both for novice user as well as for a experienced user. That what does it mean is now how much of domain knowledge have you uh, really taken care while working on a desktop level application, and how much are you specific to a domain knowledge where you have been working for quite a long time. Okay, so here that if for people who have been using data for a quite long time, they may be very familiar with the concept topic, task topic, troubleshooting, glossary, and many other references. So what happens is they create the respective templates and try to build the output accordingly to a various target, for example online help or PDF and any other devices that's actually need to be deployed on. So but for novice user, what happens who are coming for the first time in this particular in the technical writing field, they need to understand a lot of terms and a description and explanation about that, which we normally talk about a definition list, or maybe a glossary where you have terms and description. So these are certain topics. So my intention here is to just give you an analogy for both for novice users and also for people who have been working in certain domain, so that it will make them understand. Okay, from the industrial perspective, a person who has got a very little experience or no exposure to data will be wondering at what type of documentation will they actually be delivering to some other organization where it is more of a specific in a very highly technical or domain related stuff. For example, I'll talk about a cloud. I may be talking about REST API. I'll be talking about the Cisco's network computing or a Juniper. There are many other things if you want to talk about the companies that they would like to use the data for their deliverables. But as a fresh technical writer, when he goes and develops, when he goes and joins a company, like how much in-depth knowledge does he really wants to work on that particular software. So I, as a software technical writer, the only source of inspiration for me was on Microsoft product for a long time. I've been quite often been saying that I'm a Microsoft MVP because it is the only application that works as a Microsoft Office suite that trying to collaborate and share data across each other, and also bringing certain terminologies which are common across all the developers and the project managers who are working on the product. So if because as a technical writer we have grown from a desktop level application to an enterprise level application, then to service plus cloud, and then we are today in the cloud. So we as a technical writer has to know, will be actually knowing about what are the different phases of migration the application has actually gone to. And similarly, the developer, when they use certain terminology, they should also know that this particular terminology is known to the technical writer in some form or other. For example, I'll tell you, if a technical writer uses a word called, for example, an activist control, which is quite often, then applet for the from the Java programmer. From a desktop level technical writer, it is nothing but an object linking and embedding. Okay, it is something like it is basically like a container where application corresponds with each other, irrespective of the proprietary format, or however whichever the way the interface has been exposed in that particular situation. Now here most of the, because I can just very well show you the Oxygen XML, go and say great new topic and then do that, but it's quite easy. But for new people who are trying to get into some training institute or trying to get into some real profession way of learning certain data, and then trying to create some experience in that and delivering with certain timelines which they can define themselves well in advance, that certain proficiency is actually needed. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the data map for a novice user. For a novice user in the sense, right? Anyone who thinks that okay, I can create a data map. Now, what are the list of topics that go into a data map? I can also give another example within the due course, but I'm saying that okay, if I go to a hotel and sit there, earlier I told about the API. The API is a server who interfaces between the customer and the chef, and that's very clear for all those people. And for breakfast here is I'm going to a shop, I'm going to a restaurant, and giving me a menu card, and I'm seeing the breakfast. Okay, so I find that there are only certain items in that particular breakfast. Okay, and rest. And when I go to lunch, it goes with several other items in that. but I should look into the time, okay, that when I enter that particular restaurant. So based on the timings, the respective menus will be served. Okay, so this particular breakfast lunch menu, I'm going to take an analogy with a Microsoft Word. Please, for your kind information, it's a global vendor product, so as a technical writer, I have no affinity towards any product as such. It is my sincere apology if you feel that you are not comfortable with Microsoft Office. Okay, now I could probably talk about Google Docs, but my intention here is to move from the desktop level to the enterprise level solutions and then to the cloud. That is my intent, not literally being network centric, but I want to be on the PC centric and then move to network centric as and when required. Now here my analogy will be on Microsoft Word. Next, what is Microsoft Word going to? What is this data map which I'm going to do? If you look at the Word document here, okay, I have it's a book. That this particular topic will be bookmark will be taken later after this session, but then we are going to talk only about the data map. Now, if you look at this, I have the table of contents here. They're all well organized in various heading levels. So on the left hand side, I say, okay, if I go on the navigation, see that I get the list of all the titles H1 to H4, what are the style sheets that have applied in the document. So consider all H1 heading as a data map and section under each H1 as topics. So if you see some headings here, okay, you see the heading topics are there, section 4, section 5, but there are also some subtopics, okay. We'll consider that as a topics and data map as a H1 for this. So that makes you a very clear analogy for a novice, because we have been using this application for nearly three decades. So we have to extract certain real-time examples from the analogy of the desktop application, and you not have to go outside of the scope of this particular thing to learn that. Okay, now second thing, I'll show this. Second thing is, okay, analogy of data map is, okay, if there's a salad, there's a pizza and pasta, there are burgers, dessert. I know what all are relevant to particular pizza, pasta, what are relevant to the salad. If a salad is a data map, then all the rest that follows are going to be the topics related to that. If pizza and pasta is a data map that I'm creating, the rest of the menu items that follows the pizza and pasta is going to be the topic associated to that pizza pasta. So you know that I have around 5 data maps with the rest of them following the particular topics in that particular data map. But there's also a saying that been accepted in the technical writing community, that your data map should not have more than 10 topics. They could be split. It's always better to keep lesser topics into a data map. So I leave it to the technical writers and the domain experts to decide on the number of topics within the data map. Okay, and again, for the experienced user, for a person who is working in storage domain, a person who is working in any other thing, for example, HP, whatever it may be, we call it, because people don't call us database these days, they also talk about storage. In that case, what will be the experience, thing I would like to explain them and bring them to watch this particular presentation? I'll talk about storage area network, right? Because the storage area network is very important. Even if you watch a Google, if you can just relate to this to Gmail account, relate to the Yahoo Mail, because they are so important as the storage device. Okay, so what is the storage area network here? SAN is going to be the data map here. Okay, and then the rest of the things that follows is the topics that are going to be associated with that particular data map. What is going to be there? It's going to talk about storage clusters. Okay, so what happens in case if one of the what happens if a Google goes down, a Gmail goes down? It will never go down. Okay, let me make it clear for those people who are watching this. I should say it will never go down because it works under cluster. It's a cluster computing. Then redundancy is if one of the server fails, the rest of the server will take over that particular task and start giving you uninterrupted performance of that particular Gmail. So what a failover? That's what I say. If it fails, what happens? For example, if that one server fails down, you can anytime include another server in that particular cluster. Be it a Microsoft SQL server, a database server, any server for the matter, the cluster could have any type of storage devices in that, irrespective of any vendor product. Availability is because of this cluster computing and redundancy and failover, you will always find that the Google Gmail is available to you as a 99.999. That's a 5N which most of the storage people talk about. A different type of database server is, yes, your cluster company doesn't have just one MySQL, one MySQL server. It may have many different types of, or a leading vendor database product in that, from a leading vendor company in that. You can also, so it could be. And then the load balancing, what happened? If the number of requests that goes to a particular server is beyond its capacity to handle, it'll automatically share load from the other servers within the cluster. And the virtualization, of course, virtualization is important because only virtualization can bring down the cost of the uh, infrastructure. So if this is going to be the only for the storage area network, then what else can I take off Ditamap for real life example who are working in various IT companies across India and abroad? I will probably take as an Active Directory as one of the most important thing, because Active Directory has to be in such an environment so that it has all the information about the employees. And therefore this would need to be in a storage cluster, the failover, redundancy, availability, load balancing, virtually all will be part of the Active Directory. Okay, so along with it will also have a dynamic host communication protocol with the DSCP, with the scope and all the stuff. Because why Active Directory is very important is, in case if one company, like for example a company X acquires a company B, okay, there are two different Active Directories in two different companies, and when they come together to be as one part of the Active Directory, then you are going to have different set of different set of architecture altogether. So a data map is, if you think as a data map, you can just think as just n number of possibilities that you can have. This particular one which I'm explaining, for those experienced who just want to watch this presentation, you probably could evaluate it also if they feel that my session is appropriate for them. Okay, now here I've got for the novice again. If you go to a restaurant to see a menu card like this, there are various sections on the top. They are all data maps. Okay, the number of items that they give probably could be the topics, or maybe like it will also say how, if you want to know about those ingredients that are used to prepare that particular item, then you can probably have them as a topic which is associated to that data map. Now second, now this is going to be for the experienced user. My question is, like, if you say that all the people who are highly technical are working in an IT company, and there is a company called AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. These are considered to be part of the global, called to be the global infrastructure. So we are today working on pay as you use. So therefore, what happens is many of the companies are going to pre-configured infrastructure, or call it as appliances, where it's already pre-configured, or they could go and get services from these service providers so that they can scale their business. Okay, so it could be infrastructure as service, a platform service, software service on this. So when you try to understand all this, then you should also have to write a lot of topics related to these things. Okay, you are going to talk about various things. But my question is, when there is AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and Oracle, and all this has got a similar architecture, or closer to different same technology across this, how will a particular organization choose which type of cloud infrastructure they would really need? I, as a technical writer, could actually go and start documenting. But even as a technical writer, when I go and contribute, I should know why the organization is going for AWS when I already have experience on Microsoft Azure. Okay, so in that case, you take a moment and realize and say, okay, what criteria? If someone gives you a criteria, like I give you AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, on what criteria will I accept a cloud infrastructure for my organization? They are all similar, but they all exist together, right? Okay, and because how did AWS become popular? Because when all these other companies are well established for the last 3 decades, how did AWS suddenly come into the business? Okay, so that every project manager and any IT organization has to think that, because it never happened before Web 1.0 when pages were static. It never happened when Web 2.0 came, when individuals are trying to do a distributed authoring versioning. It only happened after 3.0, and they tried to capture the market, because the amount of real-time transaction that was going on, both in the age of purchase as well as a refund, and then currency conversion. All this found a very good place for e-commerce business that made AWS the number one cloud service provider on the planet. Now, apart from that, we also have Azure because they have to scale to establish because they started the business from the desktop application. Google has to do that because Google has come into the organization now and they have to sustain. On Oracle, they have their own cloud. So we have to ask them, can you ask them why you are in cloud so late when there are many things? So from my perspective, if someone asks me like what would be the challenges of this infrastructure in this, I would say if suppose a Flipkart come tomorrow in cloud, okay, if they also have like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, will Flipkart also have a better market than other three competitors? Why not? It could be because they are also into where in the they are also where in the e-commerce business. They also did the similar type of business what Amazon Web Services have done. So they also have been reliable in their because reliable in the sense the software has been very stable, and they also have also seen uh, the best of both worlds before COVID and after COVID. So there could be. So data map for me is like if I'm going to write about AWS and I have to know what are the in data, I have to know what are the type of data map, what are type of topics, task topics, concept topics, and reference topics and minutes. This is a reference topic because if someone asks me, can you just give me a cloud comparison cheat sheet? Then I should be in a position to give this. So this could be a very good example for reference topic. Okay, on the right hand side. So this is one way for experienced users. Now, before I actually go into it, I just want to talk about this training at MetaPercept. These people have experts in data. Okay, so I'm just giving this training because I just want to give a brief introduction before they actually come in and start training the people into data, which they have been there quite a long time. Okay, so please do not hesitate to talk to the experts at training at metapercept.com and then make your career a very prosperous way from 2025 onwards or from the after watching this particular presentation. Now what happens is I have come back. So now I have to give you a small demonstration, right? Now here this is the guide. This is a Word document. Now I'm going to make you understand, okay, what is a data map from this perspective. I said, okay, this is a data map from from the perspective. So I'm going to just go here. Okay, this particular topic which you're seeing here. Okay, I said storage area network before. I want to make this a data map and then associate all these particular topics in that particular thing. So if I go to view and navigation pane, I don't have this. I don't have anything related to that, right? But now if I go here. If I go here, you make this as a style sheet. You use this style sheet, okay. Then come here and use this as a heading 1. Okay, just see somewhere does it happen anyway. They're going to be heading 2, and this is going to be heading 2. This is going to be heading 2. Okay, now what happens now? Now I have to go to topic number 5. Okay, so I'll just go save this. Okay, now what happens because this is these are new topics that has come into it. Okay, this will not reflect because on the left hand side, if you see, I've got a 4 and thereafter it is 6. So now I have to go and refresh my TOC. Okay, so please keep watching on the right hand side whether that particular topic, 5th topic, has come. Okay, then I would know. Oh God. Okay, I have no content. Okay, so what happened to this? Okay, I'll just leave that probably for that now being. I don't want to waste time on this. Okay, I'll also have to show this. Why it didn't come? I just want to have this. And this is going to, I think. 1 second. Let me go and see what is the problem here. Because I'm getting it here in my I'm getting it here in the table of contents, but I'm not getting it in the navigation pane. Oh, okay, I'll just try to update it. I don't know why it is. Okay, so anyway, it is there in the TOC, but I have to see one this. Now, what happens is now this particular, I don't know why it is not coming. Okay, it could be. So now, if this is going to be that, if this is going to be something like called as we're going to be that what you call as the data map. Now, if you call this access application the data map, and there are many, okay, or if it's understand the application. Okay, now if I want this, now as a data map, when you have a lot of topics, when you have a lot of data maps, and there are many topics underneath the data map, you can just even reorder the data map, right? So this is what we actually do, that you can just go there. So instead of, for people who don't have Oxygen XML installed, I just want to tell them that you can also rearrange your data map based on the flow of your content. Okay, so for example, data map. For example, if you have some topic, you say that there's this particular, I have a copyright information, preface, and many other things that need to come in one data map, and that probably need to be reused across various other documentation. That particular thing can go into one data map, and then you can use it in your book map. So I'll be talking about book map later on, but now it is okay. Okay, so then now I'll come to the Oxygen XML now. Okay. Okay, so this is what I said. For those who are watching this for the first time, data is very easy, as well as it only that the proficiency in using those tags associated with the certain elements are very important. That you will probably, when you get into your enrollment, then you will be in a position to use that very efficiently. Okay. Now I'm using this Oxygen XML, which is an evaluation copy of evaluation and version 27.27. Now I'm going to demonstrate how you can use how you can go and use a data map. Now first thing here is when I click on new topic, new document here. Okay, new document. If you come here, and under the data, under the popular thing, there is a map, book map and data map. You can click on this. Okay, you get this dialog box says a data map manager and editor. See, for novice user or people who are quite feel that they are very comfortable using this data manager in a graphical format, they probably they can click on this and open this in the left pane below the data maps manager. Or if they say that they would like to monitor how the data map is organized, they could in a editor, then they can click on the editor and they can go. So here I'm going to just using this, right? Here I'm going to use a small thing. So I'm not going to use this topic. Yes. So this is called as it is an untitled data map, because this data map doesn't have any name. So what I need to do, I can just click on this and then I can save it. So there's a save button here, right? When I can go and say here and say this is a demonstration for you. Okay, I'll say data map a demo.